That's how you know it's working. I always like to like pretend that we're breaking the fourth wall when I start these, but not really. Um, my guest this week, we got Dan the Man Morrisey here on Movies and Minutes. Man, how you doing?
Hey, doing great. Glad to be here, man.
I always appreciate talking to you. You've got great perspectives on like everything we've ever had conversations about, so I thought you'd be a great guest. Um,
Well, I
so
appreciate it. I always feel like not enough of my friends acknowledge that.
guess what? Right here,
The
right now,
secret is honestly just being really opinionated.
right. And guess what? You got it on record now too, so you could take this after and be like, "Hey, this is on the internet, so it must be real."
Absolutely. This is my big chance, you know?
Oh man. So I know I gave you a hodgepodge of trailers for the movies that we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, I always like to have my guests kind of give me a little bit of like personal insight on the type of movies that you like, especially the things that drag you to the theater more than anything. But regardless, like what kind of movies do you like, Dan?
Oh, geez. It's more like what kind of movies don't I like? Big,
That's a good
huge
way to look at
fan of a lot of things, being a weirdo and a geek. It's, everything between, I've enjoyed my share of comic book films,
it.
everything between horror. But I would
Hmm.
say that my favorite are the ones that blur the lines of genre. Those ones that kind of
Hmm.
are kind of a little more out there. My
Hmm.
all-time favorite movie is The Big Lebowski.
Oh, the dude.
Yes, yes. Shout out to fellow dudists out there. Um, Big Lebowski's up there. Among
Hmm.
my other favorite movies are a lot of stuff like A24 has done. I love
Oh.
like The Lighthouse. I loved The Witch.
Hmm.
Those were great. Um, so yeah, and I also love a lot of the nerdy pop culture favorites. Huge fan of like Ghostbusters and stuff like that. Um,
Hmm.
but I'd say it's really hard to pin down an actual genre. As for things that bring me into the theaters, I
Hmm.
would say it's movies that I have a really strong connection to.
Hmm.
Something that I absolutely gotta see on the big screen. Right now,
Hmm.
for me, when it comes to my side of being a geek and the whole sci-fi thing, it's Dune Part 2 right now. That's what
Mm.
I am so excited to see.
Last weekend was the weekend that we were supposed to have that before the SAG strikes. I'm so sad that we have to
Yes.
wait like 4 months more for that. Uh,
Yeah, but
but we'll get
honestly,
there.
because of the strikes and all that, I don't mind waiting. I'm real
Yeah.
patient. The
Hmm.
last movie was worth the wait. When the
Mm-hmm.
first Dune movie dropped, not the first one, but the one that came out a few years
Part
ago.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I brought all of my friends and we all rented out a whole like row of the theater. So like,
Mm.
a whole big like I think the whole like all like row like H or something. It was all us. And I want to do it again for part two. Huge Dune nerd. So I and that was the thing is we said we gotta see this on the big screen. You gotta, when it comes to seeing like Planet Arrakis and stuff like that, we didn't want to see it on the small screen. We had to see like every detail of that film, and it was just beautiful. Um,
Hmm.
Also the other big theater one for me was Sonic the Hedgehog.
That all right, all right. One or two or both.
We wanted to go see both of them. You weren't expecting me to say that after talking about Dune.
But you know what? That's okay. Like I love that like you're kind of all over the place with your interests. I mean, like same here, right? Like I do a movie show. I go see everything and I'm happy
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
anything. So good to have a fellow kindred spirit in that regard. Um Dune, man. Yeah. That next Dune looks great, especially with some of the actors that are in number two
Oh,
that
I
like
know.
I didn't see in number one. Like, oh God, they
Christopher
Will
Walken as
yeah,
being the Padishah Emperor of the Universe.
that's gonna be
Really,
great.
really no one saw that coming, and it's such an insane like casting. But when you think about it, and if you really like, you're familiar with the books or like Dune lore and stuff like that, it's
Mhm.
uh it's brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant. But no one saw it coming.
It's funny you mentioned the Dune lore and the Dune Pass. So I mean, I grew up and I must have saw one at some point as a child. I didn't remember it. But I liked the miniseries. The miniseries has always been my
The
favorite.
miniseries is underrated. A
Yeah.
lot of people forget about that when talking about
Hmm.
the Dune multimedia. And
Hmm.
the funny thing is you have something like Star Wars that really caught on with the multimedia, like, video games and toys and clothing lines, all sorts of stuff with Star Wars. And
Hmm.
Dune never quite hit that, but Dune has always
It's
had
got
kind of this
the cult
underground
following.
multimedia thing. Like I'm thinking like the
Yeah.
old video games and stuff like that.
Ooh. Well,
Yeah.
how about so I rewatched one though for the I don't want to say the first time, but like I didn't remember it. I couldn't tell you anything from one, so I rewatched it maybe a month or two ago.
Right.
And my God, man, Sting in that final
Oh,
fight,
he's hilarious.
it's such a it's ridiculous, but you enjoy the ride.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's completely over the top. And if you
Hmm.
know the book, it
Hmm.
actually starts pretty loyal to the book, but thing like the
It was.
further on the movie goes, the
Hmm.
Lynch version, things just kind of start getting a little weirder and a little weirder. Things get really
Yeah.
memey if you stick around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean like that was maybe part of the reason why I liked the miniseries more because like the parts that you lost out on from the book, they had more time to like keep in it and keep in this time. So, didn't have to cut stuff for time because like shoot, we're gonna do 3 or 4 hours. You get it all. So
Oh yeah, for
but
sure.
but
Yeah, I'm excited to see the rest of it. And quite
mhm,
frankly, people are wondering like, are we gonna do are we gonna do Dune Messiah? Are we gonna do Children
mhm,
of Dune? And I'm like, hey, look, as long as it's half this good, I say we
mhm.
bring this all the way to Chapter House. Like
I mean
keep it going. I've heard that there's gonna be a TV series and stuff like that.
yeah, I
I'll
was
check it
about to
out.
say that. Like I know there's supposed to be a TV series on Max for the Sisters of the Benny Gesserit.
Yes, correct. The
Yeah.
Bene Gesserit Sisterhood are getting their own show. Now, I heard they recently changed the name of the show, so I don't know what it's called now, but previously I remember hearing in development it was going to be called Sisterhood.
Yeah, probably Benny Gesserit was like too much of a tongue twister for them.
Yes, especially for people getting into the show, they're like the Bene what? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, man. Well, it's good that we got this like excitement for Dune. Um, that kind of like stops me from asking one of my questions later, but I may circle back to it. Um, as far as our stuff that we're talking about tonight, the first movie that you had today is probably the furthest from Dune that you could possibly think of. Was Freelance.
Freelance, yes.
What did
So you sent me
what did
that
that
and I saw the trailer to it, yes.
Yeah, what did that do for you? What did you think that was about? How did you feel about it?
Well, I'm a little mixed. I'm not the hugest John Cena fan, but I'm not necessarily like a hater or anything either. I guess I just don't have a really strong opinion on Cena as an actor.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't love him in the uh geez, what was that? The James Gunn Suicide Squad. I
Oh,
didn't. He didn't really do a whole lot for me in that, but he always seems like a good guy. He seems like he's having fun. The thing
okay.
that I got out of the trailer is that it seemed like they're trying to do a more older style action movie, almost like an 80s action film. Something that you would have seen Schwarzenegger or something do. My biggest thought there was it looked like from the trailer he's supposed to be like a lawyer or something who goes undercover. I don't know how much I buy John Cena being a lawyer, you know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
looks like he's gonna go all like Far Cry on these guys or something like that.
That's not a far cry from what happens.
Yeah, hey, there you go. It did
So,
make me think of, but it's probably because I got gamer brain.
mhm,
I'm a big movie guy, but I'm also a really big video game guy too. So between the
mhm,
location and some of the action and this like weird unstable like South American country, it definitely gave me Far Cry vibes. And
mhm,
I would say that the thing I'm the most curious for freelance is I'm curious about the action to comedy blend because one
mhm,
thing that I feel like that's happened recently, and I feel like it's a product of the MCU, um,
mhm,
is that so many action films these days, there's so many adventure films are always blended in with comedy. And that's not a bad thing. I like it a good adventure comedy as much as anyone else. But after the 50th time and you start seeing like these jokes that are really rote and kind of forced in, it's just like this would have been better if they just skimmed some of these jokes off the top. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
So I'm
And,
I'm
and
wondering what the blend is going to be, because it looked like they at least mostly played it, fairly decently serious. But then at the end there was a dick joke in here, and I was like, yeah, okay.
you're not far off base. I mean, like I always try to avoid like too much spoilers here, but I like to give you some basis for what you saw. And I mean, I would say that this movie probably is like 60% comedy with 40% serious, which is better than some percentages, some ratios. The lawyer thing it's kind of like he goes black ops, he retires and tries to become a lawyer, and then they try to pull him back into black ops. So it's like he's
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah.
like, hey, we need a guy for this job. You're the guy, come help us.
Now, have you already seen this movie?
So yep. So the I the way this kind of works is I have you or guests like you on, and we're kind of like two sides of one coin, right? You haven't seen it, but you've got the trailer and whatever information you've got, and I'm your other side, baby. I know it, I've seen it, and I get
Oh,
to
got it. Okay, I got
I
you.
get to be your Jiminy Cricket and either help guide you towards it or help guide you away from it, depending on how good or bad these movies are. Um, so I mean, there is a lot of that like unstable country thing going on. There's a girl too, and you almost kind of think that there's going to be like a romantic thing, but they actually don't, which is a nice change of pace, if nothing
Yeah,
else,
I
because that also
usually
seems like
get root for it when there isn't something like that.
yeah, I mean they key you up for it and then they go left, which is cool. I'm like, okay, like fine, like we don't have to follow the trope, totally fine. It's
On the
it's
note
like
of that trope, we actually watched RoboCop for the first time in my house in like a decade, and I watched it with my roommates and my fiance, and
Mhm.
we actually praised that there's not a romantic route between like RoboCop and his partner there. I think the character's name
Mhm.
is Lewis. His
Uh-huh.
uh his cop partner there, because like it's
Mhm.
kind of set up, and you feel
Mhm.
like if the movie was modern there would have been something like that, but it was cool that
Mhm.
there wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, like it's 80s action, and you can just like plow through, and like you don't need a whole lot of the frills. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
worked. It worked for RoboCop. I don't know if it works as well for John Cena because, like you said, like people are kind of like not really sure how serious they take him as an actor, and you can feel that in this movie, unfortunately. I think that this is one of those like action comedies that like they wanted to do better, and I don't know how well like audiences are receiving it. Me personally, I think there's better. I mean, like things like RoboCop might be a better use of your time. Um, this one I kind of gave a like a 2.5 to out of 5. So not like terrible, but not like
From
kind
what
of
it seems
yeah.
like, I don't
Hmm.
know if I'd go out of my way to see something like this, but with a
Hmm.
few friends that you're yucking it up with and a case of beers, it could be
Hmm.
fun if you're like, sipping beers, munching pizza, and riffing it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this is definitely like a you're home and you happen to see that's on Netflix and you're like, oh, I like John Cena or I don't like John Cena. Let's laugh at this as a goof. Or hey, I like the female actress that's next
Oh
to
yeah, yeah.
him, whatever the case might be.
Well, in
Um,
my house here, riffing, putting on a bad movie and just kind of like, socking, letting the
mhm,
jokes fly is absolutely a appreciated pastime. I grew up doing that with like
mhm,
Mystery Science Theater or just watching like
mhm,
goofy, like really bad movies on like the Sci-Fi Channel. So that's always a
mhm.
pastime. So, that might, at the very least, if it's good for that, then it's not boring. Because the worst thing a movie
It's
could be
true.
is boring.
Yeah, some of the characters and actors in this are definitely like kind of charismatic. You're interested to see like where their loyalties lie, and that's kind of like a cool thing where you're gonna watch and try to like kind of make calculations with your friends. Like, oh well, I think this is gonna happen, or I think this might happen. So it's a strong possibility for Freelance. I, but yeah, I think we're both of sort of the same mind on this one. I, I definitely would try to steer you away from at the very least the theater viewing on this. Like your money is better spent on that pizza and the beers. You know what I mean?
Right, right. I gotcha. I gotcha.
So, um, funny thing about this too. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with this. You ever go out to Regal in Syracuse and see anything?
Oh, is that the tiny little theater?
No, no, no. That's the one at Destiny. It's like 19 like screens.
Oh, the last movie I saw there, I actually saw something in IMAX.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I saw the Batman there, in
Okay.
IMAX, I think. Yeah.
So Regal once a month does a thing called Mystery Movie Monday, and they charge you $5. They don't tell you what the movie is going to be, but they do tell you that it's a movie that hasn't been released yet, so you're seeing something early. And that's actually like how I saw Freelance. I didn't know what I was seeing until the movie started, and then I was like, oh, okay. So for that, it was cool because I didn't know, what I was seeing, and I kind of
Wow,
sat
that
through it
actually
all.
sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. Oh yeah. Yeah, man. 100% recommended if you got a Monday night free and it's if it happens to be Mystery Movie Monday. Like I said, I think it's like once a month, but like
Hmm.
you can check their show times ahead. They'll list it. The next one is actually tomorrow. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Um so fun thing to try to get into though if you're ever like bored and do want to see a movie for cheap because that way you're like I spent $5, no big deal if I liked it or I didn't like it kind of thing. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. For $5, like you could watch a crappy movie, or even like, if it's
mhm.
that bad, you walk out and what? You lost $5.
Yeah, they tell you ahead they won't refund you on it. And I have seen some people walk out of some of the mystery movies I've gone to, like when you see a family bring a bunch of kids to the mystery movie, it ends up being like a rated R slasher. And I'm having a great time and I'm watching them
Yeah,
walk out and they're
yeah,
like, oh, I never. And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
great.
not good news for the pearl clutchers.
That's a good word for it. Oh man. Second movie to talk about tonight, and I think that this one is a drastically different movie than Freelance by every means.
Yeah, it sure
Kill-
was.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon. I only heard the title casually before I even saw this trailer.
Okay.
And I was Killers of the Flower Moon. What the hell is going? Probably some
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, I don't know. Didn't
Hmm.
even think much of it. And
Hmm.
then I started watching it, and my
Hmm.
interest was going up and up
Hmm.
and up
Hmm.
and up. And then I
Hmm.
saw, uh what's his name there? Our lead actor,
Leonardo
Leo.
DiCaprio.
Yep, yep. We saw DiCaprio. I saw Scorsese.
Hmm.
Um uh and my interest is just going
De
up and up and
Niro.
up. Yeah. Uh
Hmm.
I definitely would be interested in it. It looked like a not quite Wild West, but like turn of the century, maybe just post Wild West. And
Hmm.
I love a good period piece. I love a good period piece drama.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, some of my favorite movies ever are things that kind of combine and play with genres. And I love a lot of good classic movies too. And this
Okay.
kind of had that really high profile, very dramatic, sort of a thing with a lot of really good actors. And yeah, when I saw the sets and I saw the costumes, I was like, this could be something.
Now, spoiler alert here. This is a 3.5 hour movie, but
I
from the
love long
trailer.
movies.
Nothing wrong with that by any means, but from trying to distill 3.5 hours down to like 3.5 minutes, did you get a sense for what you thought the plot for this film was?
No,
Okay.
I couldn't really absolutely discern that part.
Okay.
Not at least from a single. I intentionally watched these trailers like just once. I
Hmm.
didn't like rewatch them when you gave me this homework to try to absorb them. I just gave
Yeah.
it the once over.
Hmm.
But
And
yeah, it
that's
looked like
totally
the
good. Yeah.
rights to oil or something like that. A
Hmm.
Native American, I think like land with oil on it, or under it, and who's
Hmm.
getting the rights to that, what kind of succession is going to happen here. in a earlier on America and the birth of like probably some really big capitalistic type moves such as oil barons and things like that. But it did look interesting
Mhm.
for sure. And that might be the kind of movie I'm really interested in.
So you hit on a lot of points that are 100% right, and I don't want to tell you what all of them are because I feel like if you go watch this movie, they'll be better answered by you having those thoughts and then seeing them realized on the big screen. But loosely, what I'll say is yes, it is post World War One, United States. So yeah, you're not that far off from the Old West there. Um, it deals specifically with the Osage Indian Nation, which I believe is set in Oklahoma at the time. Oil does play a big part of it, but when you watch this movie, it's almost like the world is flipped on its head. I mean, it is set in like the actual past. Like Martin Scorsese wants you to see exactly what Oklahoma looked like then, but it's like the heads of society, the people that are running everything, are the Osage Nation, and you've got like white people and white Americans at the bottom of the totem pole, and it just feels, and no pun intended, but like turn of the century white people in Oklahoma and the Osage Nation were, cab drivers, like just the bottom of the economy and society, and it's just so funny because like we're conditioned
Total
as a
reversal from what's going on now.
exactly right, like the minorities are on the bottom and white people are on top, and it's
Oh
just
yeah,
like to
yeah.
see that like 100 years ago it was the other way. Like Scorsese just likes gut punching people, saying like, this isn't me making this up, this is me just telling you what you didn't know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, which is
mhm,
really cool for
mhm,
period piece movies.
mhm. And DiCaprio is our lead. There is, he kind of starts at the bottom in Oklahoma after coming home from the war, and De Niro is his like uncle who's an established guy in the area. And it's just this like 3.5 hour epic about their lives in the Osage Nation and the things that happen. Yes, the oil does play like a key thing, but there's so many other things going
Oh
on.
yeah, a
Yeah.
3.5 hour movie with all these great character actors, stuff like
Mhm.
that. The plot's not going to be one simple little thing.
Nope. It almost, what it almost kind of reminds me of, speaking of video game brain, it reminds me a lot of like Grand Theft Auto, like 3 or Vice or any of the ones where there is an overarching story, but there's layers because, as you play the different
We're
missions, you're
going
getting
through arcs.
exactly. But like there's a start, there's a finish, and there's a bunch in the middle. But it's like that like rags to riches bad guy kind of story in some ways,
Yeah,
whenever
yeah,
you play the
crime
characters.
drama.
Yeah. So, lots of big names too that like they don't even show you in the trailer, that when they pop up on the screen, like I was like, that's but I like that guy. What? So,
Oh man, those are
yeah.
always those are always great. Great treat in a movie.
Mm-hmm. So, knowing what you know now, do you think that this is something that you might go see?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I had no idea what this was before, and I usually keep up with movies decently well. Somehow this just slipped under my radar. I've had a lot going on, but yeah, yeah, like I wouldn't mind, going to see this. The only thing is, I love seeing movies in theaters. The only
Yeah.
thing is, when it comes to long movies, I
Mhm.
love long movies. I just think we need to bring back the intermission. At some point, I just gotta hit the
Yeah.
bathroom. I want to hit the concession stand again. I like my popcorn, but
Yeah.
I don't want to miss anything either.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. There's actually been some controversy surrounding this movie because of the fact that Martin Scorsese refused to put in an intermission, and some theaters inserted their own. And then when Martin Scorsese found out about it, they were like sending cease and desist to them, or like saying that we're going to sue you if you don't hold the
you
intermission.
know, like I
Yeah.
said, I love a good long movie, but at some
Yeah.
point, let
Yeah.
let people hit a bathroom break or
Yeah.
something. Like
Yeah.
people go in there with sodas and waters, and I know some people don't, but it's like sometimes you gotta. I just gotta go get a treat. I gotta go to the bathroom. Like screw you, man.
I'm with you. I had to I cut out about the 2 hour mark, and I was like, I've had all I can stand, and I had to go. I was seeing the movie with somebody, so thankfully I had that like backup of like when I got back, I'm like, all right, what I miss.
Oh yeah,
So
that's usually my my roommate who fills that one in for me.
yeah, that is the one saving grace. Like if I know that I've got that person, I'll be just like, screw it. I'm going to pee. I'm going to refill my drink. I'll be back. So but it's worthwhile. I don't. I have mixed feelings about this one. Like on the one hand, I think that like a movie like this looks great on the big screen. On the other hand, it's not like the Batman or a Marvel movie where there's like things that are happening like in IMAX that make this an IMAX specific viewing. Like, because I saw it in IMAX too, looked great cinematically, but I could 100% tell you that there's no like big like fights, explosions, anything that like you absolutely had to see on the big screen. If that makes
Right,
sense.
right. I get what you're
So,
saying.
but either way, it was an enjoyable in theater watch. So in that vein, if you like seeing theater movies and this seems like something that would appeal to you,
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
recommend doing
absolutely.
that. Um, so that's good. That's good. Killers of the Flower Moon might have convinced you on the last one. The last, it's kind of funny. This was almost like a movie sandwich where the bread on the outside is like the meat was great, and then the bread on the bottom is kind of uh, yeah. So Dick's the musical. Dick's the musical. What did you
Dick's
think?
the musical.
Dick's the musical. It's exactly what it sounds like, maybe, possibly, depending on what you think it
Uh,
sounds like.
the moment I saw the name of the trailer, I was like, they know what this is. They know what they're marketing. They know what they had, and
Hmm.
that's exactly what they're selling us.
Hmm. Well, for the uninitiated in the audience, what did you think that was about based on the trailer?
Dicks mostly.
In in one way, shape, or form, right? You could
in
take that a
all
couple of
in
ways.
all ways, shapes, and forms. Yes. I said earlier, I like quirky movies. I like weird movies, but there's usually a ceiling. I don't entirely know what that is because I've seen movies like Frank, and Swiss Army Man.
Ooh.
Loved those movies. Those are like really quirky, and I really enjoyed those. But I've definitely seen movies where I'm not budging, and I'm like, they're trying really hard, and that's like it's not so much. This I don't know what I thought about this. I definitely giggled a few times, but I was just like, the hell's going on here? I usually like things that A24 does, but they've also, definitely have had a few missteps.
Hmm.
Um, and
A24 is
them
kind of
doing a
one.
musical is weird.
It's their first musical, which they tell you in the trailer too.
Yes, yep, I saw that.
A24 is sort of at this stage of the game. They've had enough hits where I think they think they can kind of greenlight any indie project, and all the power to them for doing that. Someone somewhere needs to do it. Um,
Yes. I mean, they're doing all sorts of stuff. They picked up a cartoon not long ago. Has Been Hotel.
oh, I'll have to check that out. I do like cartoons and A24.
They're doing
Um,
it's like a really like raunchy like web cartoon.
I'm here for it. I'm pretty much I'll watch anything that I see their banner behind. I'm like, okay, like you guys know what you're doing. Like, uh, if I'm like uh suspect of it, I'm more like convince me. Show me why you guys backed this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I almost feel like that could be the case with this movie for you. So it's literally it's a musical. It's 90 minutes, so it's that time sweet spot for a movie, but it's literally about two twin brothers that don't know their brothers that are dicks, like in the most honest sense of the word, they're like dicks to everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
They
and
seemed
once they
like
kind
bitch
of
squad.
yeah, but they have everything except for the one thing that they really want, which is family, and then um, not to
It was
really
like they're
spoil it.
trying to trick their parents to get back together.
Well, sort of, yeah. They like first they find each other, and then they like when they realize like, oh, I grew up with this parent, I grew up with that one, what we really want as a family, and it's just like an LGBT romp in New York City with some big name actors singing, dancing, just any excuse to make a dick joke or other lewd humor. To the point that there were like mutant sewer boy puppet guys whose significance I'm not aware of in pop culture, but they were in the film and they did stuff.
Back that up once. Mutant puppet. Is that? Did I
Yeah,
hear you right?
so yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer where they say the sewer boys, and when you see them on screen, they're just like these two mutant looking things in diapers that I'm almost positive are like Jim Henson style puppets, but less good looking. Um,
You know
and
what?
it's
I'm
just
sold.
you're oh you're sold? Yeah,
Yeah. Puppets. Why not?
puppets. Yeah.
Why not, man? You know.
It's yeah, I mean, if you like a musical, you like a laugh, you don't mind your humor being like, having no bounds. I feel like that's who this movie is made for.
Well, I laughed a lot during Monty Python's Spam-A-Lot when that came to the Stanley. I know I almost laughed myself into a coma. So apparently my humor is not all too highbrow.
Listen, it can like go like this, it could be
It
highbrow
could
one
ebb
day
and
and
flow. You
lowbrow
know,
the
I'll
next
I'll,
day.
I'll give it that.
Yeah. Because I mean, Big Lebowski has got both high and low in the same movie.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, on that note, which I'm always curious because not too many people have seen it. Did you ever end up did you catch the sequel or the sort of sequel?
No, I absolutely refuse.
But you know it exists.
Yes, Jesus rolls.
Yes.
John
Um,
Turturro is, I heard he loves that character and he had a lot of fun doing Jesus, but I have
mm,
heard that the connection to Big Lebowski itself is almost non-existent. Yeah,
it's literally like he name drops the name of the guy that he played on the league with in LA once, and other than that, he's Jesus Quintana, but he's in like New York this time, so it's like because there's been a gap of time. And also he gangbangs Susan Sarandon, so there's that.
yeah. I've
So
heard it was classless. It wasn't too good. Lebowski fans didn't like it. Turturro fans didn't like it. You know,
I mean,
it's gonna be a pass from me, man.
I'll pretty much watch anything John Turturro's in. That doesn't mean it was good though. I think that one was about a two. But
Yeah, this
so
seems about right.
so
Um,
uh,
for
while
you
you're
know
not
what,
watching that, yeah.
I think that the true Big Lebowski sequel was that that Dos Equis commercial from a while back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no,
That's
no, it was Stella. It was a Stella commercial.
Stella Artois. Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah,
what
that
you
was
meant
it.
though.
That's the real Lebowski sequel. I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
I'll live with that too. Um, so yeah, while we're not watching Jesus Rolls, you got to catch dicks and Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, you know
Um,
what? I'll go see those.
yeah.
The
Um,
Cena one, like I said, if I got some knucklehead friends over, we grab
mhm,
a beer and a pizza, and there's nothing better to do, then we
mhm.
could watch John Cena gun down a bunch of guys and make fun of his acting or whatever. But
Yeah,
it didn't seem like something I go out of my way for. It
you
didn't,
shouldn't.
but I've definitely seen worse.
Yeah, yeah. That's totally fair. So, outside of Dune Part Two, is there anything else that you're like that's on the horizon that you're like can't wait for that to come out so you can go see it?
Oh, let me think. Yeah, I guess this is my chance to talk about Rebel Moon. Zack Snyder's
Ooh.
Rebel Moon. We're real excited for that over here.
What is that? December?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's gonna be different parts. There's like two or three parts or something like that.
Oh, I thought it was just one big thing.
No, too big for one stop. So from what I understand, he's establishing something of a universe here, and someone who
Oh.
definitely likes all sorts of. I love sci-fi and I just consume it. If it's got a fictional universe behind it, if it's got
Mhm,
different factions and
mhm.
backstory, I'm all over it.
And it's all because Star Wars said no to him, right? They had the chance and they were like, nah. And so he's like, all right, I'll just reskin this and do it myself.
Yeah, we're gonna do Star Wars with blackjack and hookers, he said.
Pretty
But look,
much.
the way I see it is I think that's a good idea because
Mhm.
now if you're not doing Star Wars, that is honestly liberating. As much
Yeah.
as I'm sure creators would love to work with someone like Star Wars, it's
Mhm.
liberating to go up on your own because now you don't have to follow the rules of Star Wars. You could do your own thing,
Right.
you know?
Right. You're not beholden to their canon or their rules or their characters. The second you hit the wall and you're like, oh man, because of the Sarlacc. Oh wait, never mind. We don't have a Sarlacc. Keep going.
Yes, exactly. There you go. On that note, that's always kind of how it's been with franchises and sci-fi for a long time. George Lucas, way back in the day, read Dune and
Hmm.
kind of wanted to do it or something like it. So he just borrowed the parts that he liked and went up and did Star Wars. I mean,
Yeah.
kid growing up on a desert planet learns that he has mystic powers, an ancient religion that could, has all these abilities and could see the future and stuff. The Jedi were directly spun off of Bene Gesserit. He took Dune and he took samurai movies and threw them in a blender, And that's
Hmm.
kind of what I think Zack Snyder's doing here.
Yeah. Except for the Dune Star Wars thing, he took out the drugs because I mean, like the spices drugs.
Oh well, there was a guy peddling death sticks.
Yeah, he was a one-off though. You know what I mean? The whole universe is
I'll count
centered
it.
on
I'll
him.
count
All right. So,
it.
so Rebel Moon. All right, that's a good one, man. I'm excited for that myself too. I don't have Netflix at the moment, but I think when that one looms large, I'll sign back up just to watch it for sure.
Oh, you know what? Swing by. Let's watch it together.
Ooh, I like this. I like where you're headed.
Yeah, there you go.
The pizza and the beers thing, it was leading to
Hey,
need
there you
for
go.
pizza and beers
Boom.
all along.
There
All
you
right,
go.
all right. Any big theater ones? As I'm obligated to ask because ultimately my goal is to get people in get butts in theater seats, even though I understand that it's not always viable or does it make sense.
Keeping the theater alive. That's a noble goal.
It's me, man. That's what I'm trying for.
All right. Well,
So
let's see.
yeah.
Theater movies. I know I brought up Sonic the Hedgehog earlier, and that's because I'm a lifelong fan of the character. I grew up as a little wild child running around with Sonic sneakers and pajamas and everything. So
I'm a
once they
life,
do three, I'll see that in the theater.
yeah. I'm a
Dune
lifelong
Part Two, gotta see it.
yeah. I'm a lifelong Jim Carrey fan, so they'll keep getting me as long as they keep Robotnicking him in there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. Dune, Rebel Moon, Sonic 3. Has Sonic 3 actually been like confirmed or
Yeah. They confirmed
okay.
it like they locked it down not long ago, and I think we're
Okay.
entering like production now. I think they're mid things. They've been dropping a few like teasers and other little tidbits on their
Yeah.
social media, but it's coming, and we're getting Shadow the Hedgehog.
I was to say, I remember when 2 ended, he was the teaser. The
Yes,
little post credit scene was Shadow. So I in my
huge
head, I'm like,
hype.
okay, well,
Huge hype for that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I did like Sonic Battle 2, which I think was my first experience with Shadow, City Escape, baby.
Yup. Sonic
Mhm.
Adventure 2 is one of those like games that just transcends time.
Running around at the speed of sound.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
I'm actually going to see the Sonic the Hedgehog Symphony in January, Washington, D.C., right
Oh
during when
wow.
I'm there at MagFest. I
Okay.
go to
All right.
MagFest every year, and me and the fiance got tickets for the Sonic the Hedgehog Symphony.
That's awesome.
So I guess if Sonic does something big, I'm locked down for it.
That's awesome, man. You're gonna have to let me know how that is. I've never been to any of those like pop culture symphony things, but I've heard of a few of them, and I know people
Oh,
have
this
a
is going
fun
to be
time.
my
So,
first. I've never actually
yeah,
been to like a real big
yeah.
like black
I've
tie
heard.
symphony before.
I heard there was a Pokemon one in Rochester a while ago. I know there was a Mario one at one point. So I mean, like they're a thing. So
Yeah, they're actually really picking up.
hmm well, guess what? It's the end of the show, buddy. It's been
Hey, look
fun.
at that! I survived.
Everybody gets nervous to be on here, and the second they get here, they realize they're having a fun conversation with their
Oh
friend
no, I
Nabil, and it's
wasn't
not a
nervous
big
at
deal.
all. If anything, I had a lot of fun
I appreciate that, man. I
talking
do.
talking movies with my buddy. Man, it comes easy.
That's what I tell everybody. That's what why anybody should be willing to be a guest because we're just here having a talk.
Look at that, easy.
Guess what? Are you doing anything fun with the rest of your night?
Rest of my night, probably going back out and playing Spider-Man 2. I've been doing a lot of that on PlayStation 5.
Guess what? I'm gonna go home and play Spider-Man 2 after I'm done editing.
Hey, look at that.
I just finished last night. I'd been stuck on one of the Brooklyn Visions missions and I'd finally gotten it. It was the one with the mirrors and the
The
lasers.
lasers, the laser pointers. Yeah, you're rescuing the
Yeah.
mascot, huh?
I got it last night, so like I'd rage quit a couple times on it, and like finally I'm like, all right, let's just buckle down and get this done. And we
Okay, well, I
did.
gotta ask this. I'll try not to voice anything for spoilers for anyone else, but
Yeah,
Tony Todd as Venom. Have you heard him yet?
I have not. I know that he is Venom just because of, my hype up for the game before it came out.
Yes.
But I'm the type of player that whenever the story allows me to go run off and do side stuff, I exhaust as much of the side stuff as I can before I have to go back to the
Oh,
story.
that's valid. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
valid.
I want to like max out all my stuff. So like as I'm in boss fights with like Venom or Craven or whatever, that I've got all
Oh
my
yeah.
shit at my disposal. So
As a comic fan, how do you feel about their interpretation of Craven?
so far what I've seen, he seems on point. I haven't gotten a ton of him yet. But he seems like the only thing that's a little bit off to me is like his network of like people. Like Craven is kind of supposed to be a solitary hunter, so to have like the Oscorp equivalent of like henchmen
He's
and
got to
stuff is
have
like
goons. It's a video game, you know.
I get it. I know why they're doing it, but just from the story point of view, the way you asked it, like it's like okay, so this is Craven this way, like but normally Craven would be like on his own hunting because like he doesn't want anybody else to be able to claim his victories for him. He's very like territorial.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but we'll see as I get farther in. Who knows? Like maybe the one-on-one interactions are still like that with him.
I
So,
think you'll like it.
hmm yeah, no, like I'm pretty sure story-wise, I'm still pretty early in because like again, every time they like say, okay, here's the map and you can go and do all these other things, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do all these other things. Like I've
Yeah,
gotten
yeah.
like
No, it's a good
every
way to
like
play.
yeah, I've gotten every like Prowler cache already, every like photo op that they've let me get, things like
And
that. So
you're a big Venom fan too, if I recall, right?
I do like me some Venom. Yeah, I know
Who doesn't?
that
It's such a he's just one of those character designs that I think really wins out to like almost everyone in some way.
I have my guesses on who I think he is because I know they said that he's not Eddie Brock this time, but
Hmm.
I also, it could be lots of other people too. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think you're gonna love it.
Thank you, man. Well, you enjoy your Spider-Man. I'm gonna enjoy mine, and this has been another episode of Movies and Minutes with my friend Dan on. Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Have a good one.
hey, you too, buddy.